Hello everybody and welcome back to the Stevie channel for the first ever, I don't know what we're going to call this. I mean, it's not really a podcast because you're kind of just here for a bit and we're going to go back for
I'll come here as much as I can.
So we'll call it an impromptu sit-down discussion about the Super League. If you could just move back here full time, then we can actually...
give me a year or two.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so... Yeah, so I mean, the CVP channel, basically, if you're new to it, basically just going to be very football-driven, doing a lot of stuff about...
sports in general, I guess.
Yeah, probably more focus on football. I mean, if you hear from Forever Sports, we'll be doing a lot more sort of rugby and cricket content. Then we will be doing more sort of football content, but a lot more sort of newsy. Whereas the TVP channel, I want to be a little bit more informal, a little bit more fun, I suppose. Got a really cool concept of myself coming out of retirement for some five-a-side once the good old knee is sorted.
What was that? 2 surgeries, eh?
2 surgeries, 9 months. Haven't run more than about 2Ks since 2019. Yeah, it's been deep. It's been a tough, very frustrating actually. Not that I ever liked running, to be honest. But when you can't do it, you like to think that you would be doing it. But yeah, so that's pretty much what the channel's going to be all about. So I'm going to be doing some cool stuff about my recovery. I'm talking about Super League, a whole bunch of stuff that we lined up with this man right here. And today we are going to be talking about the Super League. And apparently you've got bringing some very controversial views to the Super League. So obviously if you live under a rock and you haven't heard about it, the Super League is a disaster attempt by the European elite clubs to try and cement themselves as European elite and creating their own sort of league, like an old boys club really, where they can't get relegated. They wanted to have 15 basically founding members, then 5 teams might be able to come up and down, but those 15 founding members will not be relegated, will not have to worry about that despite how rubbish they are. Now, before we get on to why you think that it might have a little bit of value, and I'm going to tell you're wrong. Let's just talk about the teams that are involved. First of all, 6 Premier League sides, which for me would mean you can't possibly have... I mean, when you look at those 5 extra spots, they wanted them to be Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, and PSG. That's what they wanted. Also talked about Porto as well. Yeah. So you look at those extra 5 spots, the fact that there are 6 Premier League sides already would mean I'd be very surprised if any of those 5, maybe at a push 1, were actually given to an English side. Because if it suddenly became 7, it becomes more than a third of the entire competition being from the Premier League. 3 Spanish sides, 3 Italian sides, no German clubs, French clubs.
Is it 3 Italian sides?
Yeah, Inter, AC, and Juve. So... yeah, I think that's sort of the biggest problem is the fact that there's just not a lot of room for growth. And you look at Leicester City, who have, for me, been far more consistent in the past 5, 6, 7 seasons. I mean, literally since they won the Premier League, have been much more consistent in the likes of Arsenal,
Tottenham.
I mean, United to a certain degree. So I think that's probably the biggest frustration is that you're not really rewarding people who... I mean, to think of Arsenal as a European elite... I mean, they're currently fighting to stay in the top 10. People can have a go at Spurs. I think Spurs also, I mean, they never won the European title. They're struggling to make top 4, struggling to make top 6.
I think that was my biggest irritation with it. Because why Tottenham and Arsenal to a degree, yes, but, in the past 6-7 years, why they there? Yeah, founding fathers, yes, Arsenal did the Invincibles, Tottenham had... English success, but if we're looking at a broader European scale, even City to a degree, but do they really deserve to be there?
Yeah, I mean, City have never been in a European final.
Exactly.
So whilst they've been domestically unbelievable in the last
10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't really exist before 2007, 2008. Chelsea probably have also, sort of last 15 years, sure, they had a lot of European success, a lot of domestic success, but I mean, this is the thing. You got people like, Forest, who got more European titles.
Exactly.
Sides like that.
Aston Villa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You think of, and that's why Gary Neville was talking about it as being an attack on English football because your traditional sort of big clubs, the clubs which, the Premier League was built on, and the fact that that England had become a powerhouse in football. Are not because of your Manchester Cities, not because of your Chelsea to a certain degree. It's your Uniteds, Liverpools, Villas,
Your Everton's,
Everton's, Burnleys, you know, these old clubs that have been there for years and years, not just this like City, who sort of came into a lot of money and suddenly they're this European elite. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And then you look at sort of Spain and you think that, and I think the biggest problem is that it's timing-wise as well, when you think that now we're going to have a billion pound project at a time where Real Madrid are basically saying that they've got no money for transfers. Barcelona are saying they've got no money for transfers. You know, Arsenal for allowing staff. I mean, sacking Gunnosaurus, RIP.
Yeah. And they're still paying Ozil's, I think it was 90% of his wages, even though he's on loan.
And yet, so during that sort of conditions, we are now going and saying, right, well, we're going to sign this massive mega deal, which is, I mean, how can we expect a Leicester story to happen when you think that these clubs are going to have, you know, war chests of like a couple of £100 million every season just from a league?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a transfer budget. You can say to Spurs, cool, you now have 200 million every summer to go and sign players. When you think of Pochettino winning about, I think it was about 4 or 5 transfer windows without getting a single player.
I think my only issue, so this is my issue with the Super League, right? Even though I'm pro Super League, for reasons that I will explain, they've done it the wrong way. There are clubs in Europe that probably deserve to be there more than the Arsenals. You know, if we look at Portugal, we look at the Sporting Lisbons, we look at Porto. I would say they have more credibility to be there.
I mean, Porto made the Champions League quarterfinals.
Exactly. And when was last time Arsenal in the Champions League? So, you know, that's my problem. If they marketed this a little bit better, including more European, including, you know, those other countries, then then that works. And then the whole thing of it becoming like American franchise sports.
Yeah. For me, the biggest problem is promotion relegation.
Yeah. You know, it's why?
Yeah. I mean, why must this club who was successful? I mean, Arsenal, haven't really had much success. And it's coming on 20 years, really. Yeah. They've had a couple of FA Cups.
But we can't
they've not,
to a point.
I mean, they haven't won the league lately. Haven't exactly been lighting the Champions League on fire. Yeah. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, it's going to be a while back before you think of that Champions League night. You know, at least United fans, and I think that we've also been fairly terrible in the Champions League. But you can talk about that night in Paris where suddenly, you know, we're actually doing something in the Champions League. But now, this season, again, make the Champions League cool, don't make it out of the group stages. And now we deserve to be in a European competition where we just cannot be relegated.
That whole concept makes no sense.
I mean, the Ajax run a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
You think of how what that was like.
Another team that also didn't get invited, who is a big European superpower in the context of things.
Yeah, and you just... that Roma Barca comeback. You think of those like iconic moments. Everybody loves an underdog story. There isn't an underdog in Super League. What's the underdog? Arsenal have won the Super League. I mean,
it's an upset.
It would never happen. I'd back probably like Villa winning the title before it. But you know, those are the stories we enjoy. That's what we love as football fans. And I think the biggest problem is that timing wise, it was so clearly done as a response to the Champions League format.
100%.
And we'll touch on that. But I think the problem is that the concept of a new European competition is not necessarily a bad one. I think, you know, you could argue that the Champions League is becoming a little bit stale. And that...
Although...
I love the Champions League. I think maybe the reason I don't watch it as much as I do is because I'm not as emotionally invested because United can't get themselves to any significant stage. But
I think it's more for those kind of fringe clubs that are always like, we could be a European, like West Ham before this season. Remember with their big financial backings, even the likes of Everton. So it's kind of for like those clubs to have a European title, even though it's
and have something to aspire to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Leeds are back in the league. I mean, you can guarantee in their sort of next 5-year plan, they're going to sit there saying we need Europa. Yeah. Burnley played in Europa League. I mean, this is a side. I mean, Sean Dyche now has a pub named after him because they thought that it would never ever happen. You can now go to the Royal Dyche and have a beer because Burnley of all clubs, you know, who've got a lot of history, but suddenly we're playing European football. You know, Everton suddenly pushing for the Champions League. You've got Everton, West Ham, Leicester, all who've been really pushing for Champions League spots. Leicester are going to get one. And yet they wouldn't have been in this European competition at the expense of Arsenal, who's sitting at 8th, 9th, 10th. You know, are they going to finish in the top half of the table?
Yeah, it's looking ropey. But I think so. Yeah, like I said, the thing of them trying to make it into like a kind of American sport just makes no sense to me. Keep the American sports to American sports. They can do that with their MSL or whatever they call it, their MLS. Sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, the European format must stay. You know,
it just needs to be a pyramid.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
but we know UEFA's corrupt.
Yeah, and this is why some people are trying to sort of justify it by saying, "Oh well, we're swapping one corrupt thing for another." And yeah, we know that UEFA's got its issues. We know FIFA's got its issues, but this would have had a lot more credibility if they wanted to establish a football pyramid and say that we want maybe a smaller Champions League, or we want to have a slightly different sort of system, which could allow for maybe more teams from more nations, but still keeping promotion, relegation, and a direct path. You know, you need to be able to start. You need to be at a club, a Sunday league side on a Sunday, and maybe some local businessman says, you know what, I actually really like this club. I'm going to put a little bit of money into this, and they suddenly, over a couple of years, make league football. There needs to be a direct path to go from there to the top. You need to be able to say, right, we've just made league football. Why can't we, in 20 years' time, be playing Champions League? And if you don't have that, what's the point? You know, what are you aspiring to? Because the Champions League is the pinnacle of football. You want to be the best in Europe and then go on to be the best in the world if you go win the FIFA Club World Cup. And I do think we need a bit of innovation. And the concept for me, I mean, I know lots of people don't really like it, but, you know, FIFA talking about they want to have a Club World Cup, like a proper Club World Cup.
Because this pathetic excuse of a Club World Cup.
Nobody takes it seriously.
No. It's just an extra piece of silverware that not really many clubs care about.
And I mean, you go there and you play 2, maybe 3 games.
Especially the European side. They play 2 games max.
So you go in there, you win a semi-final, you win a final, and here's you're the best club in the world. You know, whereas I think the concept, I mean, scheduling-wise, it'll be a disaster, but the concept of a 48 clubs from around the world, group stages, you know, Let's see Sundowns playing Real Madrid in the group stages.
Literally.
You know, you never know what's going to happen. If it was a case of the best side in every competition always wins, you know, we would have seen England, the England dream squad winning the World Cup, and they didn't. So it's not always. Just because you're going to have Real Madrid, Barca, and stuff like that, there's no guarantee they could go all the way. They can bomb out. I mean, we see upsets all the time.
Yeah, literally.
And what's very interesting is the fact that Barcelona and Real Madrid are still in it. Perez is so intent on doing it. Laporta's going to say that we'll vote on it, but we can't not be part of it. And Perez is saying that there's no ways it will not go ahead because it is the future and stuff like that.
But we know why he wants to stay there. We saw Madrid's financial records over the past year. We don't even need to talk about previously, but it's a financial gain. But he needs the money. I'm telling you now, he wants Mbappe. He wants the Galacticos to return, but he doesn't have the money for it. Why do you think he's talking about sanctions and lawsuits and all this stuff for the guys that got kicked out? He wants their money.
I mean, it's like a get out of jail free for them. I think that's the problem, is that the motives were so poor. It wasn't a case of we want to take football back and we want to, have really good competition with top-level football. I mean, he's talking about the fact that games are boring now and we need to, 90 minutes is too long for the youth. But you look at games over the weekend and West Brom Villa going to 2-2. It was a decent watch.
No, it was a good watch.
So why can't that still be a decent watch? And how can you just tell fans of Leeds and West Ham and Newcastle and stuff like that your clubs are boring, nobody wants to watch you, therefore you shouldn't even be involved. You go to play your little Sunday league stuff over here, and us, the European elite, we will be the flagship for football, us 20 teams.
That's why I said it's been marketed wrong. The reason why I'm so pro Super League is because the broad concept of it kind of makes sense, but it's been done at the wrong time. If this happened in the early 90s, maybe it would have gone through. Maybe. And it probably would have been marketed more correctly. But now, in the times where things are a little bit more competitive, back in the days, United were beating Ipswich Town ridiculous numbers like 8-0 or whatever. Now it would be
it's
closer.
Southampton 9-0.
Yeah, well,
shout out.
Well, now they would have a chance of beating City, Chelsea, us even. So now things are more competitive. But just think about the financial gains for us. Just think about the money, Stephen.
The problem is you wouldn't have to worry about the money if the Glazers just sod it off. We spent, 10, 15 years telling Chelsea and City that nobody likes you guys, have got no history, you just money, PSG, and then within the last 18 months, that has all shifted.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, every single United fan right now, if the South Saudi Arabia or somebody from the Middle East side and said, I want you to come and drop billions on the club, they'd say, thank you very much. We've been wanting this. Because it's just, you can sit there trying to hold a moral high ground for so long. But at the end of the day, you watch City lifting trophies and you can only say they don't mean anything for so long. They go on to do a domestic treble, not the treble. And as a United fan, we're going to celebrate maybe a Europa League.
At best.
and second place.
Yeah.
It's chalk and cheese. I hate the Europa League. I find it so difficult to get excited about the Europa League.
Well, how do you feel about that third European League then? Because
the Conference Cup. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Because then you're going to get guys like Arsenal there, and, what excitements are they going to have being there?
Hey, look, they might be able to win a trophy.
But compared to, a Leeds would be more excited to play in there. A West Ham would be more excited to play in there.
And if it financially means that these clubs can go on these amazing runs, I mean, a team like Burnley, they go on this good run, they make European football. They don't have, they also don't like their owners, but they don't have the financial capacity to go and drop 100. Look, not that it's ever worked.
Yeah.
Always worked. I mean, Fulham went and dropped 100 mil at that time.
And they got relegated.
And then they got relegated. So money does not result in success. However, when you are a club like Southampton, if you look at all the players that left Southampton, if they had the money to keep them,
100%, they would be one of the strongest English sides today.
So it needs to, whatever structure it is, and even within the new UEFA structure, there's a lot of sort of the power shift is staying with the big clubs. For me, whatever sort of the future needs to be is the best way we can uplift the smaller clubs. Yeah. I want those that Forest story, League 2, League 1, Championship, Premier League, Champions League, that whole sort of doing that's just a ridiculous sort of thing. Jamie Vardy playing Champions League football. He was playing in a minors league, how many years before. Those are the stories you want. We don't necessarily just want, I don't know, let's say
Madrid winning the Champions League 3 times in a row.
And
it did get boring. The narrative was just like, wow.
Yeah, and you want more player stories and stuff like that. You don't necessarily just want this footballer who's been in the academy and he's gone through that and he's gone through the ranks.
Well, with the Super League structure and how they might do fixed budgets and stuff. If let's say it's only 200 more, you won't really see the Mbappes, the Haalands. Really,
but it's 200 mil above what you already have.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not going to be massive movement. Essentially, it's to boost some of let's say Arsenal.
But let's say that Chelsea were planning on spending 150 mil this summer. Yeah. That was their transfer kitty. Now they're part of the Super League. That 150 becomes 350.
Yeah. Let's keep things elite.
You can start doing things like Haaland and Mbappe in the same transfer window.
Let's keep things elite, Steve.
You are signing Haaland and Mbappe and then saying to, I don't know, blooming Connor Cody, right, mate? Here you go. You and Semedo and everybody. There's Mbappe, there's Haaland, there's Raheem Sterling, there's Kevin De Bruyne. Good luck, chaps. We back you. We back you.
Let's keep things elite. Imagine the Super League. The best players in the world getting at each other's throats week in.
Which best players in the world are at Arsenal?
Yeah, but that's why I said Arsenal shouldn't be there.
I mean, as I say, I think as a United player, I look at Spurs and think there's far more players in Spurs that I want than in Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%.
Who are you taking from Arsenal?
Next question.
Genuinely, I look at them this season and I think, Kieran Tierney's a good player, but I mean,
we've got Shaw.
Odegaard's part of is a Madrid player anyway. Yeah. Aubameyang's been horrendous. Lacazette, I mean, look, you'll take Saka and your Smith Rowe, but those are talents as opposed to sort of they're not quite your
ready-made players basically.
Going and getting that sort of standard of players. Whereas a Spurs, I would take Son, I would take Kane, I would probably take Ndombele. I think he's a fantastic player.
Højbjerg as well.
He's been when we do our tier list for Premier League signings, we have to have a whole new category for him.
He's up there.
But I think so. That's my issue as someone who, and I mean, I think this probably comes around with backgrounds. Coming from a small school, going to a small university where it's always been the underdog. I love an underdog story, and I love the fact that there can always be an underdog story. I like stories like, as I said, like the Jamie Vardys, the people who shouldn't might never have made it if it wasn't for a little bit of luck and suddenly that comes through. And I just think the Super League kind of destroys that. I mean, suddenly the academies become bigger and you start signing. I mean, I always get ripped because I said Jude Bellingham was too expensive. And the reason I said is I'm not saying that what they paid for the player he got wasn't worth it. That was not my argument. My argument has always been with the Jude Bellingham transfer. When you start paying, 20, 30, 40 millions for teenagers, same as United and Amad Diallo, it becomes a very, very dangerous prospect. You start having 15-year-olds who are going for £40 million, £50 million. It's
kind of like, what's the world coming to?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, how's some kid? He's 15 years old. He's just gone through puberty, and now he's being told, "Listen, you're worth 50 million. You have to live up to that. Where's the enjoyment gone?" I mean, it's such a professional game. I think it's a good thing it's a professional game, but it means if you haven't made it by 17, cheers.
Yeah, literally.
There's none of this.
Well, that's what we got taught at a young age as well. Is if you're not a good sportsman by 13, 14, if you don't get scouted by then cheers,
It's done.
You're never going to make it.
You think of, in the South African context, in the P. Dianti, who got picked up at and became the World Breakthrough Rugby Player of the Year from varsity Res League after playing third team at school. Those are the stories I want. And I think that the more money gets involved, the more it becomes this sort of got to have the best of the best of the best of the best. We lose the ability to have those sort of stories.
I mean, that's just up to your club. If you're going to be like City and just sell your youngsters and just put buyback clauses on all of them, then, you are destroying the game. If you're going to be like Chelsea and loan out your youngsters, destroying the game. But if you're like United, you loan out your youngsters, bring them back, give them a chance. Yeah, maybe we don't give them...
You mean sell your youngsters and then... You mean you let your youngsters go on a free and then pay millions for them to come back?
Yeah, well, yes. But look, you kind of destroy the enjoyment, the dream, when you just forget about people.
I know, and I think as much as, like the days of a one-man club, we will never see a Ryan Giggs again, I don't think. Not somebody with that sort of success.
Everyone was saying Kane, but,
I think Kane's on his bicycle. I think he's off. Why would he stay?
Yeah, well, he did say 2 years ago that, if he isn't winning trophies in 2 years' time, why am I still here?
And I think he gets disrespected because he plays for Spurs.
To a point.
Is Kane in the Ballon d'Or conversation?
No, but that's just because of the team he plays for. But his season has been ridiculous.
I mean, statistically, I think he's had the third most goal involvements across Europe, after like Lewandowski and Messi.
Yeah.
And yet, players like, Gundogan, even to a certain degree, all these and Salahs and stuff like that are always going to sit there saying, they're one of the best players in Europe. And I think Harry Kane is the second best striker in the world after Lewandowski.
Yeah, 100%.
I would probably, right now, I think, if they were the same, right now, I think he's probably in many ways, he's a safer transfer for like United than Mbappe.
Yeah.
He's Premier League proven, he scores goals, he's just, I think the fact that he doesn't speak particularly well, and he's
as a captain,
and he's at Spurs, he gets a lot of disrespect, but I think that he should be at I could see him at Real Madrid as Benzema's successor, but... So you're still backing the Super League.
Think about the commercial value. We could have festivals. Think about having a festival like Glastonbury.
But if you go to Glastonbury every single weekend, don't you get bored of it?
Yeah, but no, just as an opening festival. Just imagine.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Big commercial value.
We played, when we played Milan, it was like, we haven't played these guys in 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, look, if they were fans, it would have been a lot bigger a deal. Exactly. Don't you think you get bored of playing Real Madrid every season, twice, every season? No, Barca, all the time.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah, but it's...
That's like in the NBA, when teams play against each other 3-4 times in a season. They don't really get bored of it.
But don't you think that the NBA is very much become an individual?
It actually... Yeah, it has.
You don't care about the team.
Yeah.
You don't sit there... I mean, look, certain teams like your Lakers and stuff are really big, but you don't sit there thinking, I love this team. You're sitting there saying,
I love this player.
What's LeBron going to do?
Yeah. It has become like that.
And I think that's sad because I support Manchester United.
You don't support...
I don't support...
Pogba.
Bruno Fernandes. Yeah. Let's be the controversial, put it out there. You know, which means that if he does not play well, I can criticize him because I want what's best for my club, not what's best for you. You know, and I think that's also a big problem. And I think that we do lose. I think we lose that European night in Rome against Barca. If you're playing against Barca every single weekend,
but you can just think about that Saturday afternoon against Barca.
The problem is you look at a season, you think there's going to be 30 games, you think there's going to be those 8 games that you're absolutely buzzing for. Your Liverpool, City for United, and then those Champions League nights. Now you're thinking Real Madrid, Barca, Milan, Juventus and stuff like that. You're playing these clubs all the time. I mean, you could play Chelsea and City like 4 or 5 times a season.
But you don't get bored of it. We played Chelsea how many times? 4 times last season.
I must have got bored of it. It's
style of football.
It's boring just beating Lampard all the time.
Style of football. I think that's what killed those games. But
but I also think it's just we have games that we remember.
Yeah.
Specific games that we remember. And I think that a lot of games, I mean, I can't tell you every single Liverpool game in the last 10 years, but there are certain games. I can't tell you all the City derbies, but there was that one with when Rooney had a bicycle kick.
Rashford's destroyed Demichelis.
That Pogba one with the blue hair. And came in and bossed him on
Van Persie's free kick. Those
iconic moments, and I feel like it kind of gets lost if we just do it all the time.
No, let's do it.
No,
dude, just think about it.
I have thought about it, and I don't like it.
Sunday evening, United versus AC Milan. Oh, come on.
Well, it wouldn't be on Sunday evening. It's a midweek competition.
Doesn't matter. It's just afternoon, evening, on a weekday. Jeez, come back after work or during work.
Can you imagine being a traveling fan?
Oh yeah, it must be horrible.
Like you spend your weekends going up to maybe Manchester, or so say you're London based, you go to Manchester, you go to Brighton, you'll go to Newcastle, you'll go to Swansea maybe if they came up, Cardiff. Those are sort of where you have to travel. You now have a European Super League, and you're going off to every single second week. You're off to blooming Italy, Spain, thing like that. I mean, if it were to then eventually sort of fall into the weekends, I mean, nobody can do that. The travelling fan will cease to exist.
Well, do you think those Thursdays and those fans going to like Azerbaijan are enjoyable?
No,
Copenhagen.
But how often do you do that?
On Thursdays, like
once a tournament.
Yeah. And if you like the likes of, maybe us in recent years, Spurs, don't enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't want to play Europa. That is solved by being top 4.
Well, imagine a nice trip to Milan during the week. Take a week off on work break.
Yeah, I think you lose the magic of playing Juventus if you're playing them every season.
Create new magic.
What? I mean, think as we just use the NBA example. As I said, I think you lose the team part of it. I think it becomes a lot of sort of how many goals is Haaland going to score this season, not what are Manchester City going to do.
But do you not think we've done too much to play a turf more? I'm going to bring this up again. Turf more. It sounds like a park across the road.
To be honest, I mean, look at Burnley, but also,
turf more.
Burnley ended Liverpool's run.
Think about Stoke as well. Oof.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about Stoke. But that's what makes it cool, is that it's not just, this elite tick-a-tackle all the time. I quite like every now and again seeing 11 massive guys just come and absolutely bully you and just abuse you for 90 minutes and say, thank you, we'll take a 1-0. Cheers.
Oh, but then you
either ship up or ship off. I'm a big guy. Do you think I'm not Super League ready?
But you Burnley ready.
I'm built for Stoke and Burnley. I'm also out of a contract, so if you're keen, get involved. But whereas if you had the Super League, what happens to those players? What happens to Ricky Lambert?
They get given a chance.
No, he didn't get a chance. Liverpool.
Yeah, but that was Liverpool's.
Yeah, you see,
neither did Danny Ainge.
The Lamberts don't exist.
It's just the elites. That's what we want. This is what football's all about. Elites of the elites.
Yeah, but I mean, I like.
We don't talk about like.
We want variety. We need variety.
Yeah, but let me give you an example. We don't really talk about like Burnley smashing, like Chris Wood smashing records of goal scoring seasons or whatever. But when Haaland does something incredible, it's like, geez, all the social media accounts are like on him. He's done 38 and 38. But
but I think that's also a bad thing. I think we should be celebrating other things. But I think that the problem is that we're not even doing that now. We'll do it even less if you're the Super League. What I think has been quite interesting is the backlash.
Yeah.
Ed Woodward leaving United.
It was very surprising, some of the moves.
Apparently, all Premier League top 6 Chiefs have been told they need to leave, and apparently they're going to do it. All this apparently being fined for leaving, all this whole sort of financial
Arsenal
thing.
Going to get bought by Spotify.
Yeah, we've now got Spotify taps anyway by Arsenal. But, so we'll cut it there because I think it's just, when we talk about this for hours. Bottom line is, I think we're still split on this. I like the underdog. I want the underdog story.
I want money. I want the money. I want to buy Mbappe and Haaland same season. To pair with Rashford. Martial can take a hike.
See, the problem is, I think we would just take 200 million and the Glazers would say thanks and go on holiday.
Wow.
So what we really need is new owners at United, and we need, just better everything, basically. So there. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Tell people, tell BK how wrong he is in the comments below, and we'll be back. Well, we've got a couple of videos coming up.
Yeah.
After that, we'll be back whenever you're back.
Yeah, sweet.
So thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.